How many people came from more than 2 hours away? Okay, how about 3 hours? Anybody? Yeah? 3 hours? All right. Well, this is a song. The song we're going to do is called Wisconsin Love Song. Okay? It celebrates some of the things about our great state. Rick Petsky on the tie. Woo! Yes, people. Check him out. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So some of you are old enough that you might remember when the song by John Denver was a hit. That is the song that this song is based on. Okay? And we're going to do this. It's got a bunch of places that some of you know. If you hear your community in this song, let's just give it a little shout out, okay? Like, for example, if I say Wapaka, is anyone here from the Wapaka area? The greater Wapaka area? All right? You just know, you do it when you hear it, okay? Goes like this. Ready, Rick? You fill up my senses like a night in Wapaka, like Sheboygan in springtime, like the Kettle Moraine, Saturdays on the Flambeau, and Sundays at Lambeau. You fill up my senses, come fill me again. Give me badgers and cow herds, give me cream puffs and cheese curds. Let me feast at your fish fries. Let me sample your beer. Let me paddle the Kickapoo. Let me always be with you. Let me dream that the Brewers win the pennant next year. You fill up my senses like a drive-through Kenosha, like the orchards in Gays Mills, like a dairy in Dane, like the deep-fried aroma at a truck stop near Toma. You fill up my senses, come fill me again. Rick Petsky on the tie. Thank you, sir. I'll take the tie, the thimbles. Thank you, people.
Thank you, Peter and Rick. So if you're those who missed Peter's information, he does have a new CD, and it is in the hallway. And there's a deal, apparently, if you buy a group of them, so don't forget. So like I said before, my name is Patti Becker, and I'm on the board of something that's called In Control Wisconsin. And In Control is a nonprofit that does resources, education, and advocacy around self-determination. One of the things that's unique about it is that we are advocating for self-direction, self-determination, regardless of the funding source, the age of the person, the diagnosis, all around Wisconsin in all kinds of ways. And when I think about that, I think about it as it's a very diverse group. And what we know about the world, right, and the work that we do is that the more differences, the more open we can be to other cultures, to other people's thoughts, the more inclusive and the more braided and wonderful our world is. So what's great is today and tomorrow at lunch, you're going to hear some stories about some folks that are living their lives, exercising their rights and their diversity and supporting other people to do the same. So today our first speaker is Elsa, and Elsa is the executive director of Alianza, which is part of a support network in Milwaukee, but she's going to tell you more about that. So here you go.
Hello, everyone. So I was asked to come over here and talk to you a little bit about the Hispanic Latino culture. And I put something together so that we can learn something about a different culture that we may not know about it before. It's going to be a quick presentation, so we might be able to take questions or not at the end. Can you all hear me well? Okay, so they're fixing it. Did it get better? Should I speak louder? Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so let's start from the top. They have asked me today, as the executive director of an organization that cares for the Latino community and works with the community in the Milwaukee area, to talk to you about Latinos and their culture today. So I'm coming from that perspective. I'm also coming from the perspective that I'm a Hispanic Latino. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about that culture, and hopefully we will learn something that we didn't know about someone's different culture. So in here, we're going to understand just a couple of aspects. We have 15 minutes, so I try to put something together that could be composed on those 15 minutes, okay? Here's a picture of an event, a carnival, a Latino carnival that takes place in Milwaukee every year. And as you can see, do you see the different flags? We're going to go there. Different flags from different countries. So when you hear the word Latino or Hispanic, raise your hand if you heard the words before. Everybody's hand should be up, right? So when you hear the word Hispanic, what do you think it is? Anybody? Okay, he said Mexican. That's right. Anybody else? All right, so hold on to that thought. South America. All right. Maybe. So it's yes to Mexican. It's a maybe to South America. Who else? And you're talking about Hispanic or Latino? Hispanic, okay. All right. What about Latino? When you hear the word Latino, what do you think of? What do you think it is? Way out there. Huh? Latin America? Mexican. Okay. So let's cover it. Let's cover it. Let's see what Latino and Hispanic really means, okay? I have a picture for you. There's no words. There's hardly no words in here. I'm a picture person. So this is what happens. In the middle are all the countries of the people that are both Latino and Hispanic. To your right, on this side, because I'm seeing it backwards here, on this side are only the Latinos, and on the farther side over there is only the Hispanic. So let's see what it means. A Hispanic is a person that origins from a country that speaks Spanish, okay? That only speaks Spanish. That's Spain, right? And it has nothing to do with Latin America, okay? A Latino, and so Hispanic has to do with language, the Spanish language. Latino comes from the word Latin. So Latino has to do with geography, okay? Latino are the people that are descendant from any Latin American country that their language root is Latin, okay? That's the word Latino. So therefore, when it says Latino there, Brazil. Why Brazil is there? Because they are a Latin country, even though they don't speak Spanish, and their language is a derivative from the root Latin language, okay? In the middle, you have the people that are both. The people that do speak Spanish and that are descendant from Latin American countries, okay? So I am both. As a Puerto Rican, my flag is right there. As a Puerto Rican, I am a Latino and I am a Hispanic, okay? Latina, if we say it correctly, and I'm Hispanic. So the first thing that we need to know is that some of us are both And in order for us to know, and I've been asked this so many times, what term to use, in order for us to know what's more appropriate, you ask, what do you prefer I refer to you as? Okay? The word Hispanic started being used in the United States because we had so many people that spoke Spanish from so many different areas, and we didn't know how to classify them, okay? And we started using that word to classify them, carrying with census data so that there's something to mark. And so does that make any sense to you guys that some people are both? The people in the middle are both. Some of us prefer, if you call me a Latina, some of us prefer a Hispanic. Some of us may think that the word Hispanic is degradatory, even though it has a definition of descendant of a place in which Spanish is speaking. Okay, so that's why we're in the middle, because in Mexico, like he said, we speak Spanish. So they are Hispanic, and Mexicans are Hispanic. Mexico is located in Latin America, so they are also Latinos. But sometimes we don't prefer the word Hispanic because some people have used the short version of the word Hispanic as a word that is not so pretty. And it is meant to be degradatory. So you need to ask the person what they prefer. So culturally speaking, you're going to find more people that are more comfortable with the word Latino, but the word Hispanic is okay because if you understand what it is and you don't use it in the degradatory manner. Okay? Did that make sense to anybody? All right. Awesome. Let's move on. So now that we know that many people are both, some people are just one or the other, and that we have to find out what the case is and what the preference is, let's go ahead and talk about diversity within the group of Latinos, okay? Look at how many countries make up Latino people. Latino because this is Latin American, right? These are the Latin American countries here. So for us to say what is the Latino culture is to put everybody in the same box. Somebody from Brazil has a different culture completely than somebody from Mexico. Puerto Ricans do not eat tacos. We do not have tacos. Puerto Ricans do not eat tortillas like Mexicans do, okay? So there's in order for us to understand that, we have to see this map. All these people are classified under Latinos, okay? So just to know that within that group, there's a huge diversity. So there's 2 more slides. How am I doing with time? Okay. So let's talk about the values, the cultural values, and I'm going to give you the warning. I just showed you this slide, and then I told you that to talk about culture within Latinos is a dangerous path to walk because there's so many differences between the groups. But between the next 2 slides, I'm going to speak generally speaking, okay? For the most part, what we find in Milwaukee, what I find with the group I work, and what we usually find in the middle of the country, okay? So generally speaking, these are cultural values that these people hold nearly, okay? They are very respectful people. So there's two slides. This one's going to talk about the values, and then the next one is going to talk about what those values bring us some challenges in front of us, and how we deal with those challenges to be able to work with the community. Okay, respect, family, faith, trust, personal space, superstition, and federalism. Okay, so respect. my group of people are very, very respectful. And what happens, what's the challenge that comes with that? They are very hesitant to question authority, okay? So whatever the teacher says goes, whatever the doctor wants, it's what's gonna happen. So then the challenge within this community when we have people with disabilities is to learn that we are experts as parents, that it's okay to be respectful, but that we have enough knowledge to challenge some of the things. That's the difficult thing that we have to work with within our community. The leap of faith of you not disrespecting somebody when you want to challenge an action or an opinion. Family. Family is huge. Many of our families are multi-generational families in the same household. So we have a grandma, and we have the children, and we have the parents. So then the caregiver is kind in the middle, taking care of our children with disabilities at the same time of taking care of the senior members of the family. So that creates in itself some challenges. The average family number for a Latino family is 3 to 4 kids, and sometimes more. So that's the challenge, you know. You have to figure out daycare, you have to figure out who's going to provide that for you. These people are very faith-oriented, and that creates challenges for us because we have to figure out when their faith and religion holidays are, and respect those when we're trying to do things with the community, and realize that that takes a huge priority on them. Trust. Before you can do anything with the Latino community, generally speaking, you have to earn their trust. And to earn their trust is not just like, I know your name and I know you're going to help me. It takes a long work of personal one-to-one home visits and sitting down to earn that trust. We are very fortunate in Alianza Latina. We're 19 years old. So at ALAS, we have worked so long with these families that we have that check. They trust us. And so we can get a lot done in the community that other organizations might not be able to do just because of the trust. This one is kind of funny. Generally speaking, in United States, if you are of American culture, personal space is respected, right? Whoa, you're getting too close, right? Am I right? It's like, give me an arm space. So let's talk about the, generally speaking, in the Latino community that does not exist. They will hug you and kiss you before you know it. And that's a sign that they have begun to trust you, okay? So, you know, they're touchy feeling, personal space. They're very comfortable with very limited personal space. So we know that, and when we get hugs and kisses and stuff like that, we know what it means, but it can be problematic in this dominant culture, in school settings, and in things like that. So that's the challenge from them. Generally speaking, they're very superstitious, and they believe in fatalism. And what that means is, generally speaking, things happen for a reason all the time. And they're superstitious about why something happened. So when a child with disability is born to one of these families, generally speaking, they could take the view of, I did something wrong. Or it's a stigma, I had to hide it. Or I don't want anybody to know about it. So that creates a challenge for us to try to break through these things. So what we did was to talk to you about challenges in the Hispanic Latino culture, again, generally speaking, with things about the things that are core values to this group of people, and then we try to identify what challenges we face because of those core values. And then for our next slide, figure out what services we can bring that marry the two. The challenges that are born from core values, and it remains that they can exercise those core values and feel comfortable in their community. So that leads us to this one. 1 minute. That's the last one. So that leads us to this one. So our core services then are definitely, we got transportation. Family is big and it's patriarchal. So many of the women of the home do not drive. If they do drive, they don't do highways. They only drive in the streets and only when necessary. So transportation is a challenge for us. If we do something with them, we have to consider how they're going to get from point A to point B. Childcare, remember, the family is big. It's multi generation families in the households, an average of 3 to 4 kids at a minimum. So we have to provide childcare when we serve this group of people. Time flexibility. They tend to think that the present moment is the most important moment, and they don't think too much of the future. So when we schedule events, we always schedule them ahead of time of the starting time. Remember, I'm Hispanic, so time flexibility with me. But so what happens is, if you're going to start at 11, you tell the families that starts at 10:30. Because if you want to start at 11, they're going to get there. If you want to start at 11, they have to get there at 10:30, and then they're going to get there at 11. They're not going to get there at 10:30. They're going to get there at 11. So we're very flexible with that also, realizing that time flexibility is a huge thing. We always create a meal, not because they cannot afford it. It's because they are probably working. They have a huge family, and they're probably coming to our events straight from work. So in order for them to engage and stop worrying about how we're going to do this, we always provide 2 things, well, 3, the transportation, the childcare, and a meal, so that they can go ahead and participate on community events that are beneficial to them and their families. Leadership opportunities. Those are because we can teach our parents in this culture to self-empower, and it is amazing when they get it. It is amazing. It's a patriarchal culture, but when the woman figured out that she can lead, amazing things happen. So we got those as things that we're doing. Of course, the language is a barrier, so we always have to have interpretation and translation services available to this community. Community building is a huge one. So you cannot earn trust if we don't care about the community and what is happening. So respect the faith. If there is an event like Guadalupe, Virgin of Guadalupe event, do not schedule anything on that day and know that that day is coming. I think it's December 12th, I think, because I learned it really quickly. So, you have to figure that out. So you have to participate in what's important in their communities. So if they are having a potluck or something like that, to earn the trust, you have to participate. You have to build a bridge between what you want to do and their community. It's very important. They need support groups and definitely advocacy, because many of them, until they find their voice, need someone to have their voice for them. So I think I did pretty good in terms of time, and I hope you learned something about the Latino community today.
Thank you very much. I'm going to bring up our next speakers, actually. You guys want to come on up? Got a mom and a son that are here from the northeast part of Wisconsin, Becky and Nikita. They're each going to talk about their experiences as parents. Becky's going to share her story about being a mom. We're running real quick on time, so I'm not going to give you too much of an introduction, but I am going to remind you a couple things. The next sessions start at 1:30. Right now, the vendors in the back, the exhibitors, are closed. The micro enterprises will open up again when these guys are finished with their presentation. And if we were having, there's kind of a little bit of a murmur that's happening, which is making it a little bit difficult for the folks that are speaking and probably a little bit difficult for those of you that are trying to listen. So if we can keep sort of the table chatter down to a minimum, or feel free to wander outside and have that conversation. Are you feeling all right? It's good. You're going to be fine. Nikita's a little bit nervous, so be kind. He's strong. He's got this. All right.
So I'm actually going to give the microphone to Nikita first. We thought we'd start with a little terminology so you guys can hear what we're talking about. In this picture, this is our family. You're going to see some pretty goofy pictures. This is just kind of what we do.
Hi, I'm Nikita, as was introduced. I use he, him pronouns, and I am trans. I did a little part of the PowerPoint because I talk about some things, and I know that a lot of people aren't familiar with the words that I'm going to use, so I made a section of the PowerPoint that says those words and the definitions and what they mean to both me and as a community. Queer is an umbrella term. It is actually a reclaimed slur, so it started out as being derogatory towards LGBT people, but then we decided to turn around and make it into our own word and reclaimed it for ourselves. And some people, though, still find it offensive because it is a reclaimed slur and it used to be used against us, so it is more of a personal thing. It's pretty much a safe bet that you can use queer as an umbrella term, but if someone says, hey, I'm uncomfortable with that word, could you use a different terminology, then respect their wishes. It's a really personal thing. Gender identity versus sexual orientation. Those get confused a lot. Sexual orientation is actually who you are attracted to regardless of how you identify, and gender identity is how you feel you are and how you determine that. It has nothing to do with who you're attracted to or biology. Gender expression and gender fluidity.
Just so you guys know, this was new for me too, so it's okay if this is a little confusing here.
Okay, I'm going to try and explain this the best I can. Gender identity is more male, female, what you are on the inside. Gender expression is how you present yourself to the world, like how I'm wearing mostly traditionally masculine clothes, but there are some boys who wear skirts, and there are boys who wear makeup, and there are girls. Actually, when women first started wearing pants, they were called cross-dressing, and now women wear pants all the time. I'm assuming most of you are wearing pants. I can't see your laps. And then gender fluidity. Gender fluid is actually an identity that I identified as a while ago. It just means that your gender, how you feel, changes throughout the spectrum of gender. Because gender isn't just male and female, it's just spectrum. So gender fluidity is an identity, and most people change their gender expression to fit however they're feeling that day.
For those of you not of Nikita's generation, how he explained it to me was, Mom, blue and red make purple. There you go.
Yeah, and there's also black, which is just nothing.
Too many colors.
Too many colors, okay. All right. Words and phrases to avoid, these are considered not great. Like, they're not, just don't. A transgender isn't, I am a transgender person. That doesn't make me a transgender. It is a part of what I am, but not like what I am completely. It's just an ingredient that makes up me. Like, I am autistic, but I prefer to say I am an autistic person instead of, or I have autism instead of I am autistic, because that's not who I am completely. It's just a part of my identity. And then transsexual and transvestite are both outdated terms that used to mean other things, but then got turned into slurs and are now being targeted at the trans community, and they are more cold and clinical than just transgender.
So to sum up, just don't. Okay, so this is actually not Nikita, but I was in a time crunch and couldn't scan it up. But anyway, so this was just to illustrate a point for you. I loved my kids before they were born. So how many of you loved your kids before they were born? Okay, you didn't know if they were a boy or a girl, but you loved them anyway, right? It just took me almost 17 years to figure it out. I'm a little slow. So I loved you as a daughter, and I illustrated this because if you cried, I illustrated this because I thought it was very important, because as you see the rest of our presentation, you're going to see the outside change, but not the inside. So I think that's really important. So this is some pictures of our families. A lot of people ask how we went out. How Nikita transitioned and how she expressed himself. He expressed himself. I'm in the past tense, kid. He decided to do a Facebook post to the world,
I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. I finally figured out who I was.
which was fantastic. So then 2 days later, I tempered it with all of our Facebooks saying, you know, this is who he is. Please respect our decisions. You know, you don't have to agree with us, but I want you to respect it. And we were actually very shocked at the overflow. Many of these pictures are after the fact. Families respected it. We had a very, very awesome support system for Nikita. Friends were accepting. Family was accepting. For the most part, I think you've been fairly sheltered from any bullying or abuse.
I go to a fine arts high school.
That's the least of the issues there.
It's a bunch of artists that just are going around the hallways, and it's just, I'm not the only queer person there.
No. I loved you as my son. Same thing. It's almost the exact picture, except the hair's a little different. This was Ian's reaction. Somebody always asks, what does his brother think? His brother thinks as long as the fingers work and we can play Minecraft, who cares?
Which I still do play Minecraft. It's a fun game.
So he doesn't care at all. I think the biggest struggle that he had was the argument with school upon wearing pants for orchestra instead of a skirt because of the traditional outfits. But other than that, there are some pictures of his first LGBTQ event.
It was hosted at the Harmony Cafe in Green Bay. I went with a couple friends, and I wasn't even out at the time. I was just, woo, I'm going there to support.
Side note, there is a picture of him on the plane on his way to Europe. Just know that was the only smile he had. From my understanding, he screamed and cried the rest of the 8 hours.
That's not on the plane. That's the bus. That's why I'm smiling.
Ah, yes. So some things did not change with the gender switch.
I don't like airplanes. It's not fun.
And then what I wanted to illustrate here is, most importantly, I love the person you've become. Nikita volunteers at the library for 9 years.
Yep.
For 9 years. He works with at-risk children. He does special needs events, some of them which he helped plan. He works with community events around the world. He advocates for other students who are LGBTQ. He's just been asked to lead Diversity Club. So to me, I don't care what he was wrapped in. I just want him to pass chemistry so he graduates this year.
I have a tutor. I'm working on it.
We're going to keep it short and sweet because I know time was of the essence today. Is there any questions or anything in particular people want to know? We do have a panel we'll be talking at tomorrow. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Right there. Hi. Transition.
Were you born that way?
Was I what?
Were you born that way?
Born that way?
It depends. I was born, we in the community say assigned at birth female because that's what the doctor said. The doctor was like, whoa, that's a girl.
That's what biology said too, dear.
Yeah, but I was assigned female at birth, but growing up, I did identify strongly as a girl, but then I realized that that didn't fit me anymore, and now I feel better about myself. I feel like gender is a fluid thing, and it's not something that you necessarily have to adhere to for all of your life.
Just so you guys know, if you're wondering the same thing, the question on your left, that's Nikita at 7. But anyway, so, looking back, there were definitely some signs. When we were talking about sex ed with him, we always used significant other. We always talked about, a baby isn't the only risk, because we wanted to promote acceptance and tolerance of other people's lifestyles. Or ours, we just didn't know it. So, there were signs along the way, but it was a journey that he had to take and define himself, so.
If you're asking if it was a choice, it was not. It was how I felt, and the choice was to come out. The choice was not, I didn't make the choice to be trans. If I could make the choice, I would definitely take the easier route because I'm a bit of a coward. But I'm here now, so so now it wasn't a choice for me to be trans, but it was a choice for me to be myself.
All right, thanks everybody for listening, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful. So as Becky mentioned, tomorrow, session 27 is a panel discussion, and you can get some more information, spend some more time with these two. So vendors open, right, Philomena? And we are good to go. 1:30 is the time for your next session. Have a great afternoon.